While secrets told aren't secrets kept, they still remain secrets that were meant to be hidden away within a game of cat and mouse. Pokemon has brought in many forms that were stashed away or thrown right in your face, yet unknown to those who couldn't buy both the game itself and the Prima Guide on the rack beside it at GameStop. The Pokemon Diamond and Pearl games were the first games to really take advantage of adding additional forms into the games for normal Pokemon, even if they weren't the same as the forms in the newer generation that we have to date. We'll be going through every form in Generation 4, as well as any new secret forms that are meant to be discovered in Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and ranking them to the top to see who can reach for that #1 spot. Welcome to every secret Pokemon form in Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl Pokemon Legends Arceus New Form Sets. Number 15. In both the East and the West Sea, you can hear a legend of a different type of Gastrodon. It doesn't change the Pokemon too much, but it's interesting to see that they chose this random looking water ground sea slug to get another bit of Photoshop paint added onto it. Whichever one you run into first may create quite the shocking experience if you have yet to know about these two being just different color changes, as when you run into the second one, you might think it's a shiny Pokemon, which is also just a different color change. It does, however, make things a bit more difficult when you want to catch up on all the possible shiny Pokemon, as they each have their own shiny variant that is probably the least amount of changed color in this entire paragraph about 2 Gastrodon. Number 14. Shellos. It's the same as Gastrodon, I just think they're cuter. Look at the little blue one, it has some wings. Number 13. And 12. Burmese. Even though this Pokemon should be at the end of every list, Burmese does maintain a little bit more of a special vibe than Gastrodon. That's right, it has 2 extra color changes instead of just 1. Wow, college dorm microwave potato brown and chewed gum on the sidewalk pink. What a special secret to encounter when playing through these new remakes. Looks like Diamond and Pearl wasn't the only thing they should have remade. Burmese takes a spot ahead of Gastrodon, as not only does it have 1 additional color, but you also don't have to worry about getting 3 shinies, because not only can you just say the originals are their shiny variants with how exactly the same they look, you also shouldn't be catching a regular Burmese in the first place, so it's not that much of a loss. It also leads into the next 2 picks, which adds a little something for everyone. The only thing that remains in this section, however, is picking who's number 14 and who's number 13. I'd rather have the mutant potato over the pink wig pretending to be cotton candy. Number 11 and 10. Wormadam. Although this Pokemon is passable, as in you should pass it off to another person, it does have its own different type of unique change that I didn't even know until about 4 hours ago when I was looking at all the forms that weren't blatantly told to everyone during both the old days of Diamond and Pearl and the new days of Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, unless you played the originals. Wormadam actually changes its type depending on the cloak it's given. If you evolve Burmese in the grass, you get a bug grass Wormadam. If you evolve it in a cave, you get a bug ground Wormadam. And if you evolve it in buildings, you get a bug steel Wormadam, which makes no sense because what is that? The pink insulation foam they use for an air conditioner in a building? How is that steel? Regardless, I just learned this today. And the games originally came out in 2006, so that's been a secret to me for just about 15 years until roughly 4 to 5 hours ago now. Number 9. Female Hibiudan. This is another hidden color change that sparks a lot of outrage when Pokemon fans find out it's not a shiny. The fact that it's black already gives you the impression that it must be a shiny, because all black shinies are the peak of shiny Pokemon and anything else is mid-level at best. It is a nice treat to get some gender differences, and while there are Pokemon that have small details like the lipstick on Combee, this is a much more drastic change than that, to where it has fooled quite a bit of people into thinking it's another form and mostly a shiny variant. Number 8. Cherub. This is one of the best forms added into Generation 4. It's something that will certainly bring a smile to any new player's face that's coming into Generation 4 for the first time. That would of course be the Sunshine form of Cherub. A lot of Pokemon that hide themselves away and don't go outside because they can definitely hit Diamond 4 today don't get the same experience as this overcasted Pokemon until the strong sun shines bright. You get to see it open itself up into one of the most beautiful and well-made forms that this generation and most generations have to offer, as the pink petals and cheerful face brings a smile to just about anyone that gets to witness it. Whether it be you or your opponent, someone is having fun today. Number 7, 6, 5, 4, and 3. Rotom. Didn't see that one coming. It's no shocker that Rotom would make it onto this list with its array of applicable Appliance Army agents. I would say Sunshine Sharon would be the number 3 pick for this list right before the next upcoming 2. However, if I were in need of someone to furnish my apartment in any bad times, I think I would have to give that honor to Rotom, and keeping it higher up on this list puts me in a better spot to have it as one of my connections. So I need to keep the spark going. It is rather funny how this little guy turns into multiple different electrical appliances and possesses them to give them life. It's likely I could go to a wonderful furniture store and bring 5 Rotom with me to possess every item they could and carry them out of the store. It's my Pokemon versus their furniture. What's more important, a loss in profit to a company or conscious life itself? That's right, a loss in profit. I'm paying for these. They're just helping me get free delivery. Now that my villa is decked out thanks to this no interest, no annual fee credit card, and the fact that I somehow have 5 Rotoms, we can simply leave the furniture as is so I can apply the necessary skills to not burn down my cardboard box. Ah, Rotom. Number 2. Origin Giratina. Although we can't be too which came first, the altered form or the origin form, it's very apparent that I had to buy a remake of the Diamond and Pearl to even get the origin form with Pokemon Platinum. So titles don't make very much sense in this game. You gave me a bootleg version of Giratina in the first 2 games, what makes you think I'm going to trust you now that you just happen to call this its origins? It does give up the ability to pressure its opponents or use telepathy, which is great because the voices in my head left me years ago and I'm not dealing with that again. It does go into a more treacherous form that allows it to skim through the skies of the distortion world and figure out what the hell Dante was talking about with there only being 9 levels. This guy is level 47. Giratina is a great Pokemon overall, and it's nice to see the details change between the 2 designs of this dragon. One's more of a serpent, while the other can stand on its own 2 feet. There's still a little something for everyone. Number 1. Shadow Giratina. A new addition to the games that totally wasn't used before in Pokemon XD is the brand new boss battle Shadow Giratina that you get to encounter. This thing is level 100 and one of the best Pokemon to introduce shadow forms into the main game. It was nice that, although it was a faithful remake, they still added something special into the games to allow us to have one final conclusive battle against the Distortion World King in an even tougher form at level 100. Just looking at this Pokemon radiating in its non-usable Shadow Origin form brings the remakes of Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl to a conclusive and fulfilling ending to remind us that there could be a lot of depth in the game that was rushed out in about 4 to 6 months probably. This could also allude to more forms being announced in Pokemon Legends Arceus, as if Giratina is an unusable Shadow form, which seems rather opposite to Noble forms, then there might be something brewing about with a Shadow Giratina vs Noble Arceus battle coming soon. Hopefully this is the hint we needed to see the future when the games about Sinnoh's past release in only 2 months for the Nintendo Switch. Just what will Shadow Giratina mean for the main story of Pokemon? Stay tuned on our channel here to find out when Pokemon Legends Arceus arrives. Also, I'm still making more videos before that.